Alright, now this topic has changed slightly because now we're dealing with square roots. So I've chosen quite a difficult question, but if I change this around and chose an easier question, and if I had x equals the square root of y, we want to get y on its own, so all we have to do is square both sides, because the opposite of square roots are squares. So in that case, all I would do is square the left hand side. Now you're squaring everything and squaring the right hand side. That would give us x squared equals y. The square root and the square cancel. And again, because they're the opposite. That's very, very easy. But again, the question I've chosen is very, very difficult. But we start the same way. Alright? So the first step is square both sides. Square the left hand side, square the right hand side. The left hand side, we have an x minus 2. So if you have two terms being added or subtracted, all to be squared, that topic is expanding double brackets. So I'm talking about x minus 2 times x minus 2. Now, if you are unsure, will you please review expanding double brackets? But take it from me, the answer is x squared minus 4x plus 4. And that's equal to, on the right hand side, we're multiplying 2 by root 1 minus 3y. Because we're multiplying and not adding, we simply square both terms. So 2 squared is 4. Now my pen has stopped working. This is just great. We're back. 2 squared is 4. Timesing by, when we square the square root cancels. And we're left with 1 minus 3y. Now, remember, we're trying to find a y on its own. So we didn't think, if we want to find y on its own, how do we get y on its own here? Well, we'll divide by 4. We have to divide by 4 on the left. So we're going to have a fraction. We're going to have x squared minus 4x plus 4 all divided by 4. And that's equal to 1 minus 3y. Now I said this was a difficult question. It is. So I'm going to move on to the next page so I have more space. X squared minus 4x plus 4 divided by 4 equals 1 minus 3y. So we want to get y on its own, and if you look on the right hand side, and that's where we're focusing, we have to minus 1 as the first step. Minus 1. Now, this is why this question is so tricky. Because we've got a fraction, they'll want us to write the fraction. They'll want us to write a single fraction, not to have a fraction and a non-fraction in the same answer. So they want us to combine the fraction. So how do we combine minus 1 and 4? Well, let's just write it out first. So when I write it out side by side, I've got x squared minus 4x plus 4 over 4 minus 1. And that will be equal to minus 3y. But let's focus on the left hand side for a second. So to combine the fraction, we have to have the same denominator. So we can write this as minus 1 over 1. How do we get the same denominator? You're right, yes. We're going to times it by 4, times it by 4. So that will give x squared minus 4x plus 4 divided by 4 minus 4 over 4. But if you stop and think about this now, we have x squared minus 4x plus 4 minus 4. Now these two terms are going to cancel because we have a plus 4 and a minus 4. So I'm going to say my next line is x squared minus 4x over 4 is equal to minus 3y. Some people may be thinking, oh, I'm going to cancel the 4's here. But we can only cancel when they are in factor form, and they're most definitely not in factor form. Over here, we focus again on the right hand side. How do we get y on its own? We divide by minus 3. So we must divide by minus 3 on the left. Now, if we're dividing by minus 3, the minus 3 is under the denominator. And so we're going to times 4 by minus 3 because they're both under the denominator. So that will give me x squared minus 4x over minus 12 equals y. Now guys, if you've gotten to here and you're happy with this, brilliant. Okay, there is some bad news though. I think in an exam you would get near to full marks here, but the book answers will be different because they never write the denominator as negative. And if we do have this, what we do is we multiply the numerator and denominator by minus 1. Okay, and that will give us minus x squared plus 4x over positive 12 equals y, and now you're finished. Okay, are those two answers the same? Yes, they are.